We now have more data on the benefits of automated insulin delivery therapy in individuals with type 2 diabetes. The SECURE T2D study was a study looking at the Omnipod 5 in people with type 2 diabetes who were already on insulin, but not on an AID system. It was a multicenter, prospective observational study, and we were one of the sites in this study. The total N was 305 patients, and it was really an amazing study in that it was well mixed in terms of the backgrounds and the ethnicity of the patients. So many of these patients had lower educational levels, had lower income levels. They were really from all walks of life. And I think that this is really important because my site, for instance, is a site in East Los Angeles, which is a medically under-resourced area. And our patients really don't have access to many of the more advanced technologies. So we took people who had very high baseline A1Cs and put them in this study to see what would happen, and they got better. Overall, the starting A1C was 8.2%, and the ending A1C was 7.4%, and the time in range improved from 45 to 66%. And these are both very statistically significant. But from my side, and for those where they had patients with really high A1C levels, we saw that the higher the A1C level, the greater the fall. Now, this isn't surprising because that's what happens in research. But if people had an A1C level of greater than or equal to 9%, say an average of 10.1%, they got a 2.1% reduction in their A1C, down to 8.1%. And I think this is pretty remarkable. And as I said, I had some of these very high A1C patients, and I think the system really helped in two ways. It made it easier for them to give their pre-meal insulin, and then the automation really helped their nights. So it really seemed to improve their overall sort of experience with their diabetes. And I really found that it was very gratifying for all of us to see our patients do so well. You're probably thinking, do we really need insulin in people with type 2 diabetes now that we have all these new therapies? But in this study, half the patients were on a GLP-1 receptor agonist. So this was in addition to other non-insulin therapies. And I think two things. I think there are probably types of type 2 diabetes that are more insulin deficient than others. And then certainly these patients with long-standing diabetes who have a great deal of insulin deficiency from long-standing disease probably will always need insulin. And hopefully we can treat everybody sooner, but that isn't currently the case. Now, one of the other findings was that it didn't matter whether or not you counted carbs. Now, you had to put in your mealtime doses. You had to put in something for carbs, but people either counted their carbs, they put in small, medium, and large for carbs, or they just had a fixed carb entry. And however they did it, they basically got to the same outcome. So the use of this system, although it does require that patients enter in carbohydrates before they eat, doesn't require complicated carb counting. And this made it much easier for our patients to be successful when using the Omnipod 5. For me, this study shows that I can take patients where we've had a lot of difficulty getting them down to target on multiple daily insulin injections or even basal insulin, and that this is a technology that can really help us. This study was very real world. This is not an RCT, but it is a study that showed me the benefits of this therapy in these patients. And I'm very glad to have the knowledge that I can help patients do so much better. This has been Dr. Ann Peters for Medscape.